Yo, my people, we back. We back, Thizo. We back at it, man. It's been a long time coming. Watched a lot of football, a lot's been going on, a lot of life in between. But I'm happy to be back for another upload on the football bias, chatting about the
Let's
beautiful game.
go.
So I think without wasting any time, shout out to all the viewers, first of all. Appreciate it, all the love. Keep liking, subscribing, sharing everything, just chat, engage, whatever you want. And there's nowhere to start, bro. You got the kind of shirt on. Rough weekend, Aston Villa. They've just thrown their ring into the title race hat, the proverbial hat, if I may so say. After beating Man City, beating Arsenal to go how many points now? Two? Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
2 points behind the
2 points
leaders.
within Arsenal and 3 points behind Liverpool, if I'm not mistaken.
Nah, two
Uh,
behind Liverpool, one behind
two
Arsenal.
behind Liverpool, one behind Arsenal. So I wanna find out from you because I don't know how to take them serious about their title credentials. Because just not so long ago they got slapped up by Bournemouth. Was it Bournemouth? Yeah, they got slapped up, and like they're not the best team away from home. Because now at the Villa Park, they've won about what 15, 16 in a row now after beating Arsenal. So it's very
15.
clear.
Yeah.
It's very clear that at Villa Park, they're very strong to beat. But now, when it comes to the title, do you think it's a team that we need to be wary of? Could be this be another Leicester story in the telling?
I think a lot more goes into winning a title. And I feel like maybe we're at a point where we're so fatigued of City winning the league that we're trying to put everyone's head into the chat, you know?
Yeah.
Um, I genuinely think like we're doing a disservice to the Premier League if we think that a bit of good form puts you in a conversation for like the title. Title's one over 38 games, and you're only going to get 19 of those at home, 18 of those even, um, 18, 19. And you can't just survive off your home form, you know? It's important that you're able to recreate that at home and away. And I think even with those 15 wins, I mean, the game against Arsenal was a typical example of the fact that they do have some frailties. I think that on the balance of chances, Arsenal should have, at the very least, drew that match, but possibly even won that match comfortably. And I think that's by virtue of the high line that they play. So I think a lot of things are going to come into effect as the season wears on. Um, Whether they're going to take a more pragmatic approach to playing, because I think if they're going to go gung ho like they've gone, they're not just going to lose a few games. They're going to lose more than that. We've seen that they've gotten away with it. I mean, I feel like they got away with it against Arsenal. I don't know if you caught the game against Spurs. I know you probably did.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
got
for
away with
sure.
that too. You know,
Definitely.
definitely got away with that too. Spurs spurned a lot of chances, and there's always going to be chances against Villa.
Mm.
As the season wears on, teams are going to start taking those chances, and I don't know. I think they're going to be an interesting team to watch. I think they'll definitely qualify for Europe. I think winning the title is a different story.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. I just think they're in the perfect position to just take it one game at a time. Because now it's like
Mm.
they can just afford to, like for instance, with Arsenal, if they lost, there was going to be like, oh wow, like yay, Arsenal won. But now that they've won, it's like, yo, they can pump their chests out. You know what I mean? Like we here. But also them, I feel like if we knew any Villa fans, I wish I knew any Villa fans. Like I'd want to gather from them, like, what are your expectations now? Because this happens. It happened with Spurs in the beginning, the first 6 games. When you first,
Yep.
like it might even happen that this weekend if results go their way that they end up first in the log. Do you understand what I'm saying? So when you get to that position, right, you're fair. Even as a fan, the way Arsenal even did it last year, I was like, hey man, we 8 games, 10 games. 11, 12, 14, 15. What's 15 games in, one loss, the rest are W's. And we're like, hey, like, is this a title? Like, what's going on? Like, you start to
Yeah.
think, you start to dream, you start to be hesitant. You get people in the fan base like, no, relax. You get people in the fan base like, no, believe. It's just it's just a lot going on. So I just feel like it's just a nice place to be in, because you know, or you
Yeah.
hope that wherever you end up, it'll be positive and then conducive to
100%.
future. Because if Villa get a Champions League position, and with Emery there, you got the likes of, say Watkins. I don't know if you think of him like being top, but the numbers speak for themselves. Bailey, Diaby. You can go to other players in other teams in other leagues and be like, yo, here's a project. We're playing Champions League football, Villa Park. It's always bumping. It's a nice place to be. English Premier League, you can get good money. They can go and contend with, other teams to get proper players. And then that can now,
Mm.
that's when now things start to roll. So I feel like it's a very good place to be in. It's just and I think they'll have a say in who wins the title rather than themselves winning the title.
Sure.
And then if we go on to now the leaders, Liverpool, and I don't know personally what to think of Liverpool, because they first, when you watch them play, I don't feel they're in control. And I hear this from Nell. Nell's a Liverpool fan, and he
Mm.
maybe we watch things from a different lens. The same way, maybe the way he watches Arsenal, I might see things very differently. So the point that I'm trying to make is, I personally don't know what to make of them. When I'm watching their games, I don't feel like they're gonna, like chow the position at all. However, at the end of the
Mm.
game, more times than not, they're ending with 3 points. And the same with Arsenal as well. A lot this season. You don't feel that they're going to win, but they win. But Arsenal have more control in their games. With Liverpool, I don't know what's going on. And I always tell them that you guys have been crying out for a six. Even when Fabinho was there, you were crying out to get another six. So even now that Fabinho's
Yeah.
not there, you go and get 3 million Endo. And I don't know, maybe you saving money to get somebody else of higher caliber. You've already shown your bums when you went in for that Caicedo deal. So people know you have the money.
Yeah.
So why they haven't done something about that position? Because I feel like that position and getting another proper center back, that alone can then propel them to do this. And their games are just not very, it's very basketball like. But because it's Liverpool, because they have Van Dijk, because they have Allison, more times than
Mm.
not, they're going to come on top. So where do you fall on the spectrum? Are you like, yo, like they legit there? Or do you feel like, you still also,
I think we're about we're a good way into the season and they're getting the results. Um, Plus they have the added advantage of knowing what it's like to be in the race.
mhm.
You know, I think that's why I'd put them higher than like a Villa or a Spurs, for example, in
I
this
know.
because
But we're
one, you
not
have the
comparing them to
experience.
that. We're not comparing them to
No,
that.
no, no. I'm just
Yeah.
saying. I'm just saying that like
Yeah.
they're a level higher because yes, they do have frailties, um, but they know what it's like to be in that run and to have to push it the whole season, you know, and what it feels like to lose it by a point on the last day. I mean, they've experienced that twice, you know. Um, I think for as long as they're getting the results now, that will kind of help them along the way. With regards to them getting a six, I also think that there aren't a lot of sixes in the world um, that you can bring in that'll really change the setup of your team. You know, I also think it's not just limited to a six. You know, um, you look at, for example, they wanted Jude, right? Jude ended up going to Madrid. Jude isn't a six; he's nowhere near. But that was their marquee midfield signing. Then they said, okay, cool. Maybe Caicedo will do. Caicedo isn't a six either. You know, I think they're just crying out for a midfielder that can help control, that can help solidify that midfield space. Even if he isn't an out and out six, I think they don't have that right now. And there was no point in spending a lot of money, particularly after they lost out on Caicedo, on an unproven player. You know, I think that they did well by bringing someone like someone as versatile as Soboslai. But until you're able to identify a player that you feel can really be that player for you, because what we're seeing is even Van Dijk and Alisson aren't performing at the level that we're used to. You know, we're seeing. Firstly, we saw Alisson injured this season, which has been a rarity in past seasons. You know, very rarely do they lose Alisson. We're also seeing Van Dijk a little bit more exposed. You know, we saw just this weekend, had the decision not been overturned against Crystal Palace, he would have given away a penalty. You know, we're seeing that more and more. So I think teams are also just getting better. And I think that's also kind of why we're seeing more teams throwing their hats into the ring, because now it's not just about who can buy the flashiest players. We've seen Chelsea is a typical example of, even if you can have your pick of the litter, no guarantee that it's going to work. Versus a team like Villa, for example, whose talent ID has been top tier, where they're bringing in players on the cheap, but they're making a difference. You know, they spent a lot of money on Musa Diaby, but he's not even playing. They spent less on Leon Bailey, and he's the one that's getting the nod ahead of him. They got Yuri Tillemans on a free, you know. So I think it's more about talent ID than it is about spending money right now. And I think it's hard to know who's gonna work. I mean, Arsenal threw all the money they could at West Ham to say give us Declan, and it's worked. You know, no guarantee though that that's always gonna be the case. Arsenal have been burnt a few good times, you know.
No,
So it's
facts.
just, I think we're in the era of talent ID over money, and also being able to know what your team needs. Like, do you
No,
need a
agreed.
versatile six? Do you need a sitting six? What do you actually need?
Facts. Now, I agreed, bro. I just feel like it's just been there. Like it's so vacant. And even the fan base has
Mm.
been crying about it. Like, you know what I mean? And I just feel like when I'm watching the games, because I only talk about what I see. When I'm watching the games, it's just very easy to get at them. Like, for instance, this past weekend against Crystal Palace, they had to take off Endo at halftime. Because was it
Yeah.
halftime? Was it halftime? Might have been halftime, whatever. But they had to take him off eventually because whenever he gets the ball, they know that he's the guy to press. You understand? And when they had thingy Fabinho, he was so press resistant that you knew that when he gets the ball, he's going to turn. Look, that's already like two players out the game. Puts a splitting pass, and Endo does that to some effect. Like there was the game before Palace, even he was doing that to good effect. So there are games that
Yeah.
Endo will be useful. However, I'm just coming from the point. I'm not saying they should have went and spined somebody else for or rivaled to get another Declan. Like you said, talent ID. They could have found another one. They didn't have to. And I just feel like it's a position that's just gaping. And that's why it's because if they get one, or maybe that's what they're trying to do, they're biding their time to find one that will do the role that they want. Because when Trent is doing the Trent things, you need a specific type of player that's going to drop in and try and cover that type of position. And also with Zoboslai, and always so you need basically somebody with legs, lungs, and just a presence to man
An
up
eye
and
for a
also you
pass.
understand an eye for a pass
Yeah.
and also know when to smell danger. So I understand what you're saying that they might not have wanted to spend the money on somebody right now. I just feel like it's something that's been gaping for years. When you went to sign Gakpo in January, you didn't need to. Like that wasn't a position you needed to address. Like you were fine in the forward lines. Even now, like he's struggling to find out when can I play Gakpo. He's lucky that now there's some injuries in the front line that he can afford to play him. But otherwise, that's not a play they needed. With that money, they could have done something. Even with Darwin, when they bought Darwin for all that money, I get it. Money was going to leave. You needed somebody to play that, left and center forward. I get it. However, I'm just saying, like talent ID, you don't need to spend 80, 100 million on somebody. there's affordable. I just don't feel Endo was the guy and the guy who's going to like win them the title. And not to say Liverpool will always be there. They're always going to be there at the end. They might even finish above Arsenal for all we know. You understand? I'm just
Mm.
talking from the vantage point of what I see. And even now, I don't want people to say, because the thing is with fans and what they don't like about football now, like you talk about somebody else's team, is like, what about yours? Bro, no, I'm not trying to bash or anything. You can
Yeah,
also talk constructively about Arsenal because people talk shit about
sure.
Havertz. I'm not like so defensive. I don't like this whole defensive thing within fans about football. Like just as a side note, I don't know when we got here about Diski. Even with football now, when somebody like now Arsenal lost against Villa, people are showing memes about Declan Rice trying to get retweets and posts. I don't like that whole thing that football has become now. It's such a divisive thing. People are always trying to be controversial instead of just chatting what they see and dialogue.
I guess that's the impact that um, coverage has on the game. You know, there's a lot of people that watch soccer through just results, and what they're seeing on
Yeah.
social media. So it's reactionary. They're not actually taking the time to sit down and watch games, particularly other teams play, you know. So maybe they'll catch an Arsenal game for a few seconds. And we've even seen this from professional footballers. There's been a lot of Arsenal ex-legends that have come out and said, no, Havertz isn't. Just recently, Lee Dixon was like, Havertz isn't making any runs. He didn't make runs in the Villa game. And it's just like, wait, were you watching the game? Because if you were watching the game, you definitely aren't saying
He
that,
was one of the
you know?
only guys trying to make the runs.
You get what I'm saying? So I think it's like, it's more narrative driven. Like you're trying
Yeah.
to align with the narrative that's out there, but you're not actually
Mm,
taking the time. And that's someone who supports the club, So
true.
imagine for like a rival fan and things like that. I think it, it's not, it's like clickbait.
Mm,
It's like, let's say something about Arsenal. Particularly, I've heard that Arsenal fans are quite reactionary.
yeah,
So if you say something about Arsenal, they're
very
gonna
much.
address it.
I saw,
I guess social media
I mean,
has done that.
I saw a tweet today. It's like some guy was like, Arsenal fans are like so emotional. Like you would swear like these guys never lose. There were those guys where when they lose a game, they take the ball and go home.
Nah, I don't think so. I think it's Arsenal are unique in the sense that we've always played nice football, and I think that we've like we went through a rough spell, but we're in a phase now where we're playing good football again, and it's painful to lose games you shouldn't be losing, you know. And I think you look at both the Newcastle game and this Villa game, both games where you would have taken a draw, still kind of would have felt disappointing, but
Even the
you know that you
manner,
shouldn't be losing those games.
the
Yeah.
man of the losses is just what's like really irks me, man. And I don't want to. We mustn't spend too much time. When you start talking Arsenal, we'll never stop. It's just the manner of the losses. It's just like surely those games to leave those two games with 0 points is very disheartening. But we still if anybody would have told us 15, 16 games into the league, you're 1 point behind first. You've just signed
Mm.
Havertz. After the start we saw with Havertz and all the controversy and the Raya and Ramsdale. So I'm not really banged up about it. It's just we've missed
Yeah.
opportunities to open a gap. But it is what it is. Liverpool are going to lose points. We still going to lose points. Man City are going to lose points.
Yeah.
So it's very hard to talk about winning the
The
league.
beauty of the season. I think
Exactly.
if I can just quickly with regards to Liverpool before we close that off,
Yeah, yeah.
I think that part of the reason why Liverpool struggled last season was because they wanted to address things after the fact. So he made reference to how they didn't need Gakpo, they didn't need Darwin. I think they waited too long to do that. Where you're waiting for it to be clear that Mane is leaving, you know,
Mhm.
and now it's just like, okay, now we've strengthened. You waited until both Henderson and Fabinho left, and now you're like in a reactionary mode of let's quickly try and get someone to fill the gap. So maybe we'll end up overpaying for like Caicedo, or maybe we'll end up settling on Endo. I think if more teams were able to identify the directions that they're trying to go in, particularly teams that aren't known for like replacing managers, you know? So if you're Klopp, you must have a vision for like the next 2, 3, 5 years to say, this is the team that I'm trying to build, and start identifying players around that and knowing like the likelihood of you getting that player. Where yes, you're
Yeah.
Liverpool, and more often than not, players will want to come there. But like you can't throw all your eggs in the basket for a Bellingham, for example, because you know that like other clubs are gonna want to rival you for that signature. It's not gonna be cut and dry. So for me, I feel like it's a lesson for them, and it's part of the reason why I think they'll still come up short as well. It's like identify the players that you want to go for before, so that when the time comes, because they're getting away with a lot of steals. It's
Mm,
just like you just stepped in and stole like a Soboslai. That
mm,
wasn't someone that I feel like they had been courting for a while. It just came out of nowhere, you know? It's just like, oh, we can get him, let's get him, you know? But like that gung ho it
mm.
isn't gonna work. You need to be able to identify what you need before the fact so that you can get it. I think they're
Yeah,
spoiled for choice up front though. And I think that's one of the things that's going to keep them in the conversation
exactly.
because a lot of other teams wish they had that.
Yeah, that front line is that's a powerful front line. Even with Jota out, like it's still powerful. And when he comes back, it's just another thing. So I want to
Yeah.
go. I was thinking about something, bro. I want to ask you a hypothetical question, and I know this can never happen. This might never be. However, if I give you a choice right now, and I say which which fan would you rather be? Which club would you rather support between Man United and Chelsea? Which club do you feel like you would ride whatever is happening and feel like this is going to end somewhere positive. Wherever it's going, whatever's happening, this is going to end somewhere good. Which one do you think you would? Because both of these teams, I call them the Mud Brothers. In the mud. Like, bro, man, like even like bantering the
Um,
fans is boring now. It's just they've taken the fun
yeah,
out
it's
of
not
it.
worth it.
Yeah. So what do you think?
I
Which
think
one?
right now, I'd rather be a Chelsea fan, and I'll tell you why. I think that Chelsea realize where they are, and as much as like you're gonna have hope for your team, you're gonna have belief that it's gonna happen. I feel like there's more of a attempt to fix things from a Chelsea perspective, you know? So it's just like I understand the direction they're trying to go in. They're trying to rebuild, get a young squad in, get them bedded in with a manager who's established with working with young kids. Um, and even with regards to like how they play, you know. I think we spend a lot of time speaking about how teams are struggling with injuries and that. But with in Chelsea's case, they're missing quite a lot of first team players, you know. Um, with United, it's just like even when they have the players, you never know which United is going to show up on the pitch. It's a United that can win 3-0 against Everton and then lose 3-0 against
3-0
Bournemouth
against Bournemouth.
2 weeks. Like you never know what you're gonna get. Like they could be 3-0 up and you still don't know if like they're gonna have enough to like get over the line. You just never know. I don't even think they know. They walk onto the pitch and it's just like, hey man, let's just hope it works today. You know? I don't feel like it's the same for like a Chelsea. A Chelsea is just like, okay, these are teething problems that we're gonna work through, particularly when we get our players back and we're playing the way that we want to play. I feel like with United, even if they had everyone, like they don't really know what's going. Like, bro, you're starting Luke Shaw as your left-sided centre back when you have like a Rafael Varane sitting on the bench.
Hmm.
Sometimes you even benching Victor Lindelof. Harry Maguire was like halfway out the door. Now he's starting every single game for you. It's just like it's trial and error, bro. It's hit and hope. It's like I just hope things come
Inshallah.
together. But like, yeah, it's really inshallah ball. Like there's no clear idea, bro. Scotty McTominay is getting benched, then he bails you out by scoring a brace against Brentford to bring you into the game. Now he's your guy. Now he's starting everything. You know, it's just like
Scotty
I
too
don't get
honey.
it, bro. Yo, there's inshallah football, and then there's Man United kind of inshallah football. Like there's no idea, bro. There you can carve. Those oaks
Ugh.
are like, yo, and I think it's the structure, even their leadership, bro. Like Bruno got his fifth booking, right? In the game against Bournemouth. There's
And you
no
know
need for
you're
that to
going to
happen because
Anfield. You know you're
yeah,
going to Anfield next game. You're the captain. You
there's
can't tell me he didn't
literally
know that. He knew that.
bro, he knew, but it's just like it's whatever. I'm ticked off. I'm ticked off at the fact that we're losing against Bournemouth, you know, and it was unnecessary. If he's making a tackle to make sure that they don't go like 2-0 down, I'd
Mm.
understand that. It literally as unavoidable, like as avoidable as it can get. But it's just like it doesn't burn them. Like he's not yearning to be there where you got pumped for 7 last season. So
Hmm.
you're not in a great vein of form right now. So if anything, as the leader, your team's gonna need you. But it's just like, oh well, I'm pissed off in this moment and I'm gonna show it. To hell if I get a yellow card or not. You know? I feel like that's just the feeling around the whole club. So I definitely rather be a Chelsea fan, and their league position would like confuse some people as to why I'm saying that, but
Mm.
nah, a lot is wrong at United. Both sides, but
Yeah.
United just works off.
Yeah, bro. I feel like when I thought about it, right? When I thought about the hypothetical thing, I didn't really thought I thought I would get my answer just like while we speak about it, right? And now the points that you bring up, like just I think I could bring up points about Chelsea that could make it look as bad as well. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like with Chelsea, like you say, like it's more, I don't want to say easier, but like they could click it much quicker
Yeah.
than United can. Even though United might finish in the higher position or might go on to do more this season. But once Chelsea get it right, you feel like it'll be then like, okay, now we know what we're doing. And then now we
Mm-hmm.
can, we can get this, we can do this. With United, like for them to get to a place where they're like, yo, now we're on a good path. I don't even think none of the fans would tell you. Like you got Oaks, there's
How?
guys in YouTube, there's guys in YouTube. These guys have a show called the Ten Hag Out Show. That's the name of their show. Every week they're getting together and they're chatting. Ten Hag out. I think, bro, and then you get fans that are like, no, if we get a new manager, like we're gonna have the same old problems. Let's just stick it out with Ten Hag. Like it's just a whole bunch of confusion. Then you got your main star guy, you giving him like almost 400K a week. Now you benching him. It's just, and I feel like even him as a coach, I feel like Ten Hag listens to a lot of YouTube and stuff like that. Because these guys like just clamor to what fans want. Because the fans were crying for Rashford to get benched, he's benching him. The fans clamor for a lot of things and they do them, but they clamor for other things that you don't do. It's just like a whole bunch of confusion. So when you lay it out for me like that, I feel like, yo, being a United fan, you just don't know, man. Like I can be happy today and be sad tomorrow. But with Chelsea, I know, like I'm just sad now and I hope for better. It's just I don't know. I don't know which one is it, bro.
Like, bro, Chelsea at least still have to look forward to like whenever, if ever it's gonna happen, Reece James is able to put together a run of form, you know, five,
Nkunku.
10 games together, Christopher Nkunku coming back. Like they have things to look forward to. With United, what are you looking forward? What's gonna change it?
Mm.
Because, like, as you're saying, for me, I think it's unfair to keep putting it on the manager, right?
Yeah.
I feel like that's the easy thing to do. Oh, things are bad. It must be the manager. We've seen United have gone through enough managers for us to actually like pause a bit and say, is it just the manager though?
Yeah.
Because we're
Agreed.
seeing Rashford couldn't be bothered. And for me, it's not a you're not playing every single game. You're not playing at a high level every single game where we can say maybe it's fatigue, maybe he just needs a break. He just doesn't look interested.
How
And
many coaches have
we
we
keep
seen this
spending
with
time coming
Rashford?
up with
How many
yeah,
coaches,
like
bro? Like this guy's making me tired, bro. This, and I wanted to save this for another topic of another day before time eats us. But bro, like last year, nah, from the time that Rashford like made his debut, because remember he scored 2 goals against us. He scored 2 goals, and I
yep,
watched him keenly for the rest of that season. I was a light, yeah, agreed. But I was just like, this guy is not Nandi, guys. And then he goes on to have an amazing career. I will never take that away. He's a black boy, Englishman. Like, you know what I mean? Love it. He's done amazing
yeah,
things, right? But whenever, bro, I've been looking at this guy's career, and throughout it, I was like, nah, man. And I only folded last season, Thizo. How long has this guy been on our radars? And I only folded last season. I was like, okay, guys, hands up. Rashford is good.
maybe.
Only last
Yeah.
season. And then for him to reset back, bro, I'm standing on business, bro. This guy is a fraud. I'm sorry, bro. Rashford, I'm sorry, man. I don't know what it is about this guy. He's gone on to do amazing things. We're the number 10 for United, but that's been a fraudulent career. And the highlight reel is amazing, right? Everything is good. He's done amazing things. He's fed kids. He's done a lot. But for me personally, I'd rather have freaking Aaron Lennon than that guy, bro. Honestly. Sorry.
Look, I think I was listening to Thierry speak. Um, I came across some video, and he was speaking about how players nowadays are a lot softer, you know? And by virtue of being softer, like there's a ripple effect to that we're seeing in the game where he's like in his era, if you were soft, you knew sooner or later, like you weren't gonna make it to the top, you know? And he's saying now there's a lot of guys that are making it to the top with that soft
Soft.
mentality.
Mm.
And like you're gonna suffer, your team's gonna suffer by virtue of that, because it's just like you're soft. Because the
Mm.
form thing, bro, there isn't a top player outside of Messi and Ronaldo, you know, that didn't
Yes.
go through a dip.
Mm.
Like the best players in the world go through a dip, but it's just like if you're doing things well, even when you're not getting the goals or the assists, right? It's only a matter of time until they come. We've
Exactly.
seen that over and over and over again, where it's just like you're seeing the effort is there without a shadow of a doubt. But it's like I feel like with some of these guys, and United has been unfortunate that they've had their fair share. We've seen it with Martial, where when you're still hungry and haven't proved anything, the hunger's there. And then all it takes is a moment, right? Unfortunately, um, after that moment, it's generally like downhill.
Mm.
But like we're constantly holding out for potential. It's just like, ooh, this guy could be something special. Ooh, this guy could be something special, you know? And then you go through 3 quarters of the season doing nothing, and then you have a good game, and it's like, ooh, is he finally finding form? But like, we can't do that for 10 seasons.
Yeah, bro.
Like,
And it's kind of ironic
at
that you say
some
that because
stage,
like now there was an article saying that they're not going to renew Anthony Martial's contract. So this guy was signed here about 5 years ago, came on bursting on the scene with a Ballon d'Or clause in his contract. Yeah, my guy. 5 years later, what have you shown me? You haven't shown me anything. And I just feel like it's very, why is it that it's a lot of United players that do this? Also, there's a lot of players, even Arsenal players, Chelsea players, but there's
mm,
something wrong with that United thing, man. And I feel like
it,
my bro told me, he's a United fan. He's like, the problem with United is that our whole ethos and history and everything is built around people. It's not the badge, it's not the club, it's built around
mm,
people. If it's not the Busby guy, if it's not Saf, you know. And once these guys are gone, you have spaces in between our history where we do nothing. So there was a space before Fergie where there was nothing. And then Fergie comes,
mm,
glory days. And after Fergie, it's nothing again. It's just space and air. And then now they're hoping for the next guy. And maybe he might come in 2030, 2040. And then he's going to take United back up on top for the next 20 years until there's space again, and it's kind of ironic coming from Arsenal fans because we haven't won like the amounts that they've come on to win. But it's just like, I'd rather be where I am because I know what I am. It is just what it is. I want to win by playing good football. If I'm not playing good football, I won't win. And it's fine if I don't win because I just love the club. I love the history. I love everything. And it's just what it is. But otherwise, man, it's been a nice chat, bro. Catching up with you, bro. I don't know when we'll do this again. We need to do it again. Champions League is about to close down. The leagues will be decided. There'll be a draw. And the Premier League is hotting up. A lot of things are happening, bro. So there'll be a lot of more episodes coming up. And please, man, keep it locked. We want to do one in person very soon. So otherwise, keep subscribing, keep liking. And Thizo, bro, appreciate it. We'll see you again.
Peace out, my nigga.
Bless.